Good evening, Tamara O'Dine with ABC News. The state government says it's ready to up Victoria's vaccination rate as soon as its extra allocation of doses is released by the Commonwealth. While the Prime Minister is pushing for the lifting of restrictions as soon as possible, the state government says it's too early to make that decision, although the latest case numbers are good news. While 9 new cases have been identified in the past 24 hours, they were all linked to known cases and were already in isolation. Victorians have set a vaccination record. More than 330,000 people were immunised here in the past week, and that accounts for 40% of the total number of vaccinations nationwide. The state government has denied claims it's hoarding vaccines and says its supplies are being sent straight out to be used. Here's our state political reporter, Richard Willingham.
You're happy to have the vaccination?
At this Melbourne clinic for people with a disability, the answer is a resounding yes. This new hub opened its doors this morning specifically to vaccinate more of Melbourne's disabilities community.
The process has been smooth and very well run.
Last week, Victoria accounted for 40% of all nationwide jabs in arms. And after facing allegations of stockpiling shots, it now has only 136,000 in store, less than New South Wales and Queensland.
We're lifting up now to over 330,000 doses in Victoria in the last week. I reckon we can certainly go higher than that in the next couple of weeks.
News of 9 extra cases sent a shudder through Melburnians this morning, so there was a sense of relief that all cases are linked to existing clusters, including the West Melbourne Delta outbreak and Arcare Aged Care, as well as another cleaner at this CBD construction site. Services to and from this station on the Upfield line are the only new exposure sites. The Prime Minister today urged Victoria to open up.
I would be urging that we move towards lifting those restrictions as soon as possible.
Victoria is in a very good place to get out of this.
But again, Victoria's Chief Health Officer says it's too soon to make that call.
It's frustrating. People want to know, what will things look like 3 days from now? But we see different changes every day, and there can be something from left field.
The key will be for the nearly 6,000 close contacts to complete their full fortnight of isolation. 3 people today tested positive on day 13 of their quarantine, meaning they must start a new 14 days.
You could potentially go back to a near normal life. You may still need to wear a mask in transportation and indoor shopping until the authorities are absolutely happy that there are no other cases wandering around.
So the frustrating wait continues. Senior people inside government are increasingly confident that the lockdown can end as advertised, as long as there's no bump in the road. The question is just how many restrictions can be eased. Richard Willingham, ABC News, Melbourne.
For more, I'm joined now by Christian Silver. So Christian, the aged care workers vaccination drive finished up today. Which group's going to be prioritised next?
From tomorrow, ambulance workers will be able to skip the queue at the state's vaccine hubs in order to get that priority access. As you mentioned, there was special treatment, I suppose, given to some of those aged care workers from last week. So this will enable the paramedics to get to the front of the line. The paramedics have actually been eligible to receive the vaccine since the early days of the rollout back to phase 1A. However, last week we reported that only about half of the state's paramedics had actually been vaccinated, and the union blamed that basically on a lack of supply and said it wasn't really convenient for these people who are on the front line to be in the same queues as everyone else. Another group that was desperate to get some priority access are teachers. Unfortunately today there's no news for them on that front, and the Victorian Testing Commander Jerome Weimar was also asked about when the vaccine rollout will be expanded to other groups. Currently 40 to 49-year-olds can go and receive the Pfizer jab. He was asked about this. He said that at this stage the demand for that cohort is still really strong and it will take some time to get through that group, but once that demand eases, they'll look at expanding it to more people.
Okay, now there was some good news today for those who are struggling to put food on the table because of this lockdown. Tell us about that.
That's right, Tamara. There was a $30 million funding support package announced by the government. $4.5 million of that will go towards food relief charities. So these are groups like Food Bank, who run things like mobile food vans, and they have they have a supermarket in the CBD for international students who've been doing it tough. This funding package is also hoped to help charities link up with restaurants to ensure that if there's any leftover food or raw produce, that doesn't go to waste, and so that it goes to people who need it most. We spoke to an international student today to get his reaction to this funding announcement. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I can survive more and have things to put in my table to eat with. Yeah, it's really good, and I feel like the government is helping us and taking us in account.
There's also money that's going to go towards the Red Cross, which has got an appeal for temporary and provisional visa holders who haven't been eligible to receive federal government support. And there's also $12 million for multicultural groups. Again, some of the money will go towards getting culturally appropriate food for people who need it, and also for targeted communications to ensure that critical health information is translated into other languages. Tamara?
Christian Silva, thank you.